Hey guys, Cindy here from PleasantSims. Welcome to the first ever tips and tricks video exclusively for newsletter subscribers. Thanks so much for being subscribers, guys, and I hope you enjoy this new series of videos. So today we're going to be talking about how to build realistic parking lots for your community lots. I'm starting out today in an empty 3x3 community lot. Now the size of your lot is obviously going to depend on what you want to build, but I would not go smaller than 3 tiles back, or 30 tiles back actually. 3 on the neighborhood screen and 30 on the build screen here. And that'll make sure that you have plenty of room to build your parking lot. Now, of course, you can build smaller ones if you want, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. I like to build a parking lot big enough for several cars to fit into. Alright, let's get started. First of all, go into build mode and go to the floor tile and go to miscellaneous. Here you're going to find the 3 pavement tiles, and these are the ones that we're going to be using. Now in this tutorial, you're not going to need any custom content. I'm going to use the stuff that already comes with the game, but I will recommend some mods that I personally use that make your parking lots seem a little bit more alive and a little bit more dynamic, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. First of all, we're going to get started building. So I'm going to go into the top-down view here. And I'm going to swing around to the side, just so I can see everything. Now, you're also going to want to turn on your Move Objects On cheat. So if you select Control-Shift-C, type Move Objects, make sure you spell it right, Move Objects On, and hit Enter. You will now be able to build in this strip in between the sidewalk and the road. So we're going to start with this first tile here. We're going to count 8 tiles from the edge. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we are going to start our driveway on the 9th tile. We're going to make our driveway about 4 tiles wide. And then we're going to go up here and start filling in. Now, if you like the way it looks, you can cover up the sidewalk with asphalt. I like to leave the sidewalk there for pedestrians, but that's up to you. You can cover that up if you like. Okay, so each parking spot needs to be about 6 inches long. So we're going to start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 3 tiles wide. So 1, 2, 3 wide. So this is going to be our first spot. So you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles long and 1, 2, 3 tiles wide. So we're just going to continue this and make 4 more spaces for our basic lot. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that makes us 4 spaces, and then we're going to go down 6 tiles and fill that in. And now we can fill in this area for our driveway. And this is what you should be left with. You should have a block that is 10 tiles long and 12 tiles wide, plus your little driveway area here. And we're going to leave 1 tile in between the sidewalk and the parking lot for some decoration. Although that's not necessary. If you want to place it right up against the sidewalk, you can. I just find it looks better with a little decoration. Next, we're going to take this tile right here, the ... number 1 paving, and we're going to use this to mark out our parking spaces. So if you select this tile and it's not facing the way you want it to, you can press this button on your keyboard to move it around until it's where you want it to be. Okay, we're going to move over 3 tiles, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles down, and we're going to continue that all the way across. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we have 4 separate parking areas. That looks a lot better than just a big blob of concrete. So our parking lot's looking a little bit better, but it still looks kind of plain and like it doesn't belong. So the next thing we're going to do is go to the poured flooring and select the discrete concrete. This is the same concrete that's used on the sidewalk. And we're going to make a sidewalk around. This is so when your Sims get out of their cars, they have something to walk on besides just getting onto the grass. And I sometimes like to make this 2 tiles. I guess it just depends on the lot that you're building. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. That kind of gives us an outline for our parking lot, but it still looks a little weird over on this side. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fence this in. And you could use a fence, or you could use hedges, or you could really use whatever you like. If you want to use a half wall, you could go into the garden center and use these hedges. You could use the large hedges if this was going to be a fancy lot. You could do something like that. You could use the small hedges if you preferred, if it's not real fancy. But I prefer to use a fence on most of my lots. I just think that looks the best. And since I'm building this lot in Pleasant View, I'm going to use a fence that is often used in Pleasant View called the Tornado Solid Steel Fence. You could use any fence that matches your game. And I'm just going to fence in the areas where my Sims are not going to be walking. I don't want them walking off this way. I don't want them walking off this way. So I'm going to fence them in and keep them corralled where I want them to go. Then you could build a little sidewalk, you know, going off over this way towards your shops. Or if you wanted to do another one down here, whatever you want to do. Maybe you want to have your sidewalks going up this way. That's fine too. Then you wouldn't fence in this area. This is just sort of to give you an example of how you can sort of box it in and make it look nicer. Okay, so we've got something started here. This looks better, but something is still missing. Let's go into buy mode and go to lights. I like to add street lights to my parking lots because most parking lots have street lights, right? For the customer's convenience. So what I'm going to do is put a street light over here on this side of the fence. And I'm just going to sort of put 3 street lights along the edge here. And I like these kind of street lights because they sort of hover over the parking lot and light everything up for the customers at night. So that looks better. We're coming along, but I still feel like there's something missing. So let's go back to our build mode, go into your garden center, and I like to add trees around my parking lot because most parking lots have some trees around them to provide shade for the customers' cars. I live in the desert, and even our parking lots have shade trees in them. So I'm going to use the Japanese autumn maple once again because I'm building for Pleasant View. And I'm just going to put one here on each side. And you can see the shade that provides. So it's not a lot, but it does provide a little bit of shade, and it just looks nice for the parking lot as well. And I'm just realizing how I don't like how this isn't even, so I'm going to move my street light over, but you could just sort of mess around with these and get them however you like them. But I would recommend some street lights and some shade trees in some form or fashion. Okay, so it's looking better. Now we still have this area here that's kind of open and looks a little bit weird, so I'm going to add some flowers here. I think I'm going to add some oleander since I'm building in Pleasant View once again. So I'm going to add little oleander bed, and I'm going to fence this in. And you can decorate your little areas of your parking lot however you like. This is just the way that I like to do it. I'm trying to find my railroad ties. I'm sure many of you are better at decorating than I am. But this is what I like to do. And just to give you an example of how different ways that you can decorate your parking lots. So then I'm going to go into terrain. I'm going to choose some park bark here. And I'm going to fill, oops, that's way too big. Small brush, and I'm going to fill this in with park bark. Okay, we're definitely coming along here, but there is one more finishing touch that I want to put on our parking lot, and that's I'm going to go into the garden soil. That's the dirt that I like to use, but you could use any dirt tile if you wanted to use desert dirt, park bark, dirt clod, whatever. I like to use garden soil because I like the color of it. And then I'm just going to go around the edges of the parking lot and make a little dirt around the edges. I just feel like this makes things look a little bit more realistic. Now be careful not to get too much. You don't want to have a big line like that. That looks too much. What you want to do is get as far away from the edge as you can and go very slowly, make a very thin line all the way around your parking lot. I just feel like this adds a little level of realism and depth to your building. I do this to my buildings and everything too. And if you mess up, you can hold down Control and use the brush to erase. And also put a little bit, I also put a little bit underneath my trees and street lights like that. And I'm just going to go all the way around the parking lot, doing the same thing. Now, once you have that done, your parking lot looks so much nicer, and you may not even be able to put your finger on why it looks nicer, but this little bit of dirt around the edges really adds something extra. I really like to do that. So now we have a basic parking lot that uses no custom content, and I'm going to show you now some ways that we can make it seem a little bit more dynamic so you don't just have an empty parking lot. The first thing you can do is use decorative cars. So I have downloaded some decorative cars for Mod the Sims to use on my lots, and I will put the link down below if you would like to download some of these. And you can just place the cars in your parking lot. Just turn them around, place them where you want them. We'll just put a couple down here. Now this is a nice solution, but the only bad thing about this is the cars stay the same all the time. These cars will always be in this exact location every time you load this lot. So what can you do about that? Well, we can use mods. So I'm going to show you a mod that I highly recommend. I'm going to delete these cars. And I'm going to go into build mode, go into garage, and here I have a little piece of custom content called Decorative Parking Space. This is also from Mod the Sims, and I will link to it down below. And what this does, I'm going to read you the description here. It says, no more eerily empty car parks. Build your car parks with the purpose-made decorative parking space, and you will always have a buzz around your community lots. So once you place these spaces down, anytime your Sims visit a community lot, they will be automatically populated with different cars, and the number of cars and types of cars depend on the time of day that your Sim is visiting, what type of lot it is. It really does wonders towards making your parking lots more dynamic. I highly recommend this mod. So we're going to go ahead and place these parking lots down. So you want to make sure when you place it down, it's probably going to be backwards. You want the two little lines at the bottom to be facing the bottom of your parking spot like this. So go ahead and just put these on all your spots. Once again, making sure that they are the right way around. And if you're using these, then you also do not have to use the little dotted lines in between your parking lots. See how you can kind of see it under there and it doesn't look very good? Just go ahead and select your regular tarmac here and erase those. Okay, so now we have 4 parking spots that are going to be dynamically populated every time your Sims visit this community lot. So here is your basic 4-car parking spot. You could start building your shops and your gardens and things over here on this side or back here, whatever you want to do. This is just the way that I have been building my parking lots, and I thought you guys might find this helpful. Of course, you could build it on another location. You could build it over on this side of the lot. You could build it at the back of the lot, at the front of the lot, turn it around, whatever. Hopefully this will just give you some inspiration. Another thing is if you have a big lot, like you have a mall or a city hall or a school or something, you could make this a double parking lot by building another. I would just keep 4 spaces in between, and then you could build another set of spaces over on this side, just like I'll show you in this picture here that I have done. You could also make the driveway in between extra big and put in some decorative trees or flower beds in between the 2 lots, as I have done in this picture. So I hope this gives you guys something to go on and something to work with when you're building your own parking lots for your community lots. In my opinion, every community lot should have at least a small parking lot, unless it's like in downtown or something. But in Pleasant View, it's sort of suburbia, I think. So I think most places would have parking lots. So I'm working on adding parking lots to all my community lots that don't have them. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, or if you have any tips that you would like to share for building your parking lots. And I will see you guys with another special tips and tricks video in next week's newsletter.